Hello again. I will be returning to the Kiev in this vid because I have gotten so many questions about this ship, about the consumables, about the captain perks, about the upgrades, about the modules, pretty much everything there is. So I decided I'd make a follow-up vid on this one. In this vid I will not only showcase some more AP based gameplay, but there's also a segment. Basically, there's a part of this vid where I have to save from one end of the map to the other, where there's basically no action. So I will take that time and basically just add in a segment where I go over all the upgrades, all the modules, everything. So there should be no questions left unanswered afterwards. Hopefully. I usually say that, but there's still some part I forget, so we'll see. Anyway, there was actually a bit of an amusing thing that happened. Basically, I have to start it off. There was maybe 2 weeks ago, I posted, or maybe a week ago, I can't remember, but I posted this vid where I played the T5 Gnevny, and I posted a vid where I sit in an offensive smoke and I basically destroy a Cleveland and an Omaha. And there wasn't really much special about the clip. It was just offensive use of smoke and all that. But a guy commented on the vid, some guy called PhlyDaily, and he asked how it was possible that they didn't detect me. Well, I didn't know who he was, because I don't particularly follow any YouTubers and so forth, so I didn't have any idea, but I just linked him to my smoke guide, my Benson smoke guide, and told him that I make a good explanation here on how to use them, and then I pretty much forgot about it. Anyway, like 2 days ago, I checked my Gmail, and there's like 100 new notifications that I've gotten 100 new subs, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, is my Gmail bugged or something? Then I refresh it, and there's even more subs. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Someone help. I don't understand what's going on. Well, it turns out this, basically, I had no idea until what's going on, until a guy commented on my vid that this PhlyDaily guy had sent him there. I was like, wait a minute, this name sounds familiar. Isn't this the guy who asked me about the smokes in that one vid like a week ago? Well, it turns out this guy, who I just thought was some guy who was just asking for tips, basically, is a hugely popular YouTuber with like 200,000 subs or something, and he does a bunch of vids, including World of Warships vids. And this guy had been nice enough to not only give me a recommendation, but actually link to my vid in his description. So that's why I got this sudden surge of popularity, so like a big thank you to him, that was really cool. Anyways, that's also probably one of the reasons why I got so many questions about the Kiev, and hence the reason of this vid. Anyway, moving back to the actual point, as you can see, I mentioned this in my earlier vid, 10 kilometers, you can use AP, but the Mayoko's armor is actually so thick that if I hit the superstructure at the back, I'm really not penetrating, but if I hit the deck in the front, then I am penetrating at this range with plunging fire. So I just switched back to HE, there's no point even trying. You can see the usual maneuvering, he shoots a volley at me, I turn towards him, most of the volley misses. This is the very same basic gameplay I went over earlier. You can look at the score. It was even worse until I killed that Hatsuharu, but now we're like trailing 260 to 520 points. So there's obviously quite a lot of work to do to turn this game back into our favor. Switch to HE, set a fire, always nice. His repair was always on cooldown, or I didn't want to repair one fire. I even destroyed his torpedo tubes. Basically, hammering down constant harassment on him. I know there's a Farragut somewhere here, and I know there's a Furutaka, so I popped my speed boost to chase this Mayoko. I'm really not too worried about either of these two ships. The Farragut, well, they both have the potential obviously to kill me, because I'm a destroyer, but I'm confident enough in my own evading capabilities that it should not be a problem. I also have my smoke coming up in 35 seconds, so basically I have multiple escape routes. Okay, the Furutaka showed up on the minimap. No doubt he shot at me. Yeah, there's his shots. Oh, there, you saw those arcing shots, that's the Farragut. So he's hiding somewhere and shooting at me. But once again, as I said, I'm not worried. I want to hammer this Mayoko some more. You see I'm constantly evading, as I told you. I'm not evading just the Mayoko shots, but I'm evading constantly, so I end up evading these shots as well. And I haven't actually taken any damage. Okay, the Farragut shows himself and the Furutaka is rushing me. I switched to AP for the Furutaka. But now that the Farragut showed himself, I switch back to HE. And I pop an offensive smoke. So, I am no longer detectable, as you can see by the use of the detection perk. So I am undetectable, whereas these two guys are easily detectable thanks to the Gnevny and the Sims that are both detecting them on the sides of my smoke. So they're giving me vision, so I have no issues. I'm actually reversing inside the smoke to turn my ship around and get better arcs. I switched to AP for the Furutaka. I don't have arcs on the torpedoes, but this isn't a problem, I'm so close. So I know my AP will melt this guy very, very quickly. Just gotta find the Citadel. There we go, and I start doing really, really big chunks of damage. He basically did the worst possible thing, he gave me a full broadside. Now, I started speeding up almost as soon as I knew that guy was going to die, because I expected there to be torps coming, which there are. My fire finished off the Farragut, so we managed to even the score from 260 to 520 to 480 to 550, so we're still keeping up, the game isn't lost. Now I'm so close to the Mayoko, with AP loaded already, that I figured it's worth simply rushing him. He's already so low on HP, and I know that I'm in effective AP range, and his volley missed, so he's reloading. So I shoot as many shells as I can, and now I start turning. You can see I start turning full turn to the right, because I know his reload is up. So I just want to avoid this one volley, which I do. And now I turn the other way again to bring my guns back to bear, but he won't even have time to shoot. I got a Citadel on him, and he's basically finished off here. Now, this is what I said, I've killed all the ships here, and I have to go save my team on the other side, so this is a good time for me to basically move over to the port and start going over all the perks and upgrades that this ship has. Let's start with the most obvious, the modules themselves. So the first upgrade you want is the range. The hull upgrade, while it's good, it's not as much of a priority as getting the range. Because, well, the reason is obvious, you want to spam HE, you want to spam it from range, so the range is your first upgrade, the second is the hull. It gives you a bit more HP, what else did it give? A bit maneuverability, a bit AA. It's a pretty meh upgrade, but it's still worth getting, because it basically upgrades your ship, every parameter of your ship without any downsides. So get the hull upgrade second. The torpedoes I honestly haven't bothered with, because basically yes, they give you a damage increase, but on the other hand you lose torpedo speed. So you're basically paying 10k XP and 800k silver for a side grade. And considering the short range of these torps, if you use them, it's most likely in an all or nothing situation. And in that situation I prefer having fast torpedoes that are easier to hit than harder hitting ones. Because you already have so many of them. Like you can launch 10 of them, so you should be able to land enough of them to actually kill whatever you're hitting. So, not worth it in my opinion. But you can get it if you feel like you have enough XP and enough money, or you want to keep playing the Kiev long after you've unlocked the Tashkent, then of course. It's a preference thing, but I don't recommend getting them. Next we'll move on to consumables, and this is something that usually blows a lot of people's minds. You can switch, when you switch to premium, you can select if you want to pay in doubloons or in silver or in credits. You just click the small X next to them and you switch to the premium, switch the cost to doubloons. You can do it on every single consumable. And on the Kiev I use the default repair. I don't think you need the other one. You could use it if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. And I use the premium smoke for 22k credits and the default speed boost. And of course auto resupply enabled. You can disable enable, this way it will automatically buy them for your next game so you don't have to bother yourself. Next I'll move to upgrades. The first one is fairly obvious. You can switch between torpedo tubes, AA and guns. It's considering you are a gunvote DD, this is pretty straightforward. Not to mention this reduces your chance of being detonated, which is highly important. It's by far, this is a very simple choice. The second choice, this is where a lot of people actually trip up on. Well, first we have AA guns, useless. Torpedo tubes, useless. So it usually comes down between gunfire control system and main battery modification. Now, this main battery modification module is, or upgrade, is something that a lot of people misunderstand, because it says plus 10% to main battery loading time, plus 15% to main battery traverse speed. Usually in MMOs and such, when it says plus, it's a good thing. But in this game, when it says plus 10% to main battery loading time, it literally means that it's increasing the time it takes for your shots to reload. So this is basically a side grade. You get a longer, your reload is longer, but your turrets turn faster. So this is not nearly as good as people think it is, because they think they're getting a better reload and a better traverse speed, but in fact they are giving up DPS in turn of getting faster turret traverse speed. So don't get that one, get the accuracy instead. You want to land your shots. Most of the time people who take this realize what they have done when they get to higher tiers, and there's another version of that which is called main battery modification. This one in turn reduces your reload time but makes your turrets turn slower. But anyway, moving back to the upgrades. The third one, this one is in my opinion also fairly obvious. The one thing that breaks the most often, and is in my opinion the most dangerous thing breaking, is your engine. Because you see, if your steering breaks, you can slow down and smoke up and you'll be safe. But if your engine breaks and you try to slow down, it doesn't slow down as quickly. And if you try to smoke up, you will simply glide out of the smoke and be detected again. So in this case, it's in my opinion a very straightforward choice again. You get the propulsion modification. And the last one, this one is usually, well, in my opinion, this one is also straightforward. I want the rudder shift time, especially as this ship, by default, it doesn't have that good of a rudder shift time, but with this upgrade you get it to under 4 seconds. Now, rudder shift time is how long it takes for your rudder to shift from one side all the way to the other. And considering with the Kiev you want to do this snake-like movement where you're constantly turning and evading and constantly firing, this upgrade sees constant use. At all times will this one be useful. This is highly situational and you rarely get set on fire. Well, if you do, it's you have other problems that are much bigger than the fire. And this one is only useful if you're stopping in smokes. But steering gears is always useful. So this is again very straightforward in my opinion. You take the steering gears mod. Now let's move to the last part, the captain perks. Now, situation awareness is a must-have. There's no discussion. Simply not, even if you're constantly detected in the Kiev or in the other Russian DDs, you need to know when you're in the cover of a smoke. And this is where this is basically your smoke indicator. It lets you know when you're in the smoke and when you are not. So this is highly important. Second must-have in my opinion is basic firing training. It's a minus 10% to reload time, so it's a basic 10% damage buff. So of course you take it. This one, there's a bit of leeway, mostly because people misunderstand it. They often think that this only helps with fire extinguishing and flooding, but it actually helps with everything. If your guns break, your steering break, your engines break, it repairs them faster. And considering your guns actually break quite a bit in DDs, I find this one very useful, because the faster your guns get repaired, the faster you can keep firing, the higher your damage is. So if you can spare the point, I highly recommend Basics of Survivability. It's a good perk. For the second one, there is really no discussion. The torpedo one is useless because your torpedoes are useless. This one doesn't increase the fire chance by minus 7%, but it's not additive, but it's actually, when you calculate it, the actual decrease is very small, so it's complete garbage for every single ship. And incoming fire alert, this is also useless because basically you're under fire all the time, so you don't need something telling you should be evading constantly. If you're running in a straight line and you need this perk to tell you you're being shot, then you're doing it wrong. So obviously the obvious perk here is expert marksman. And the third, here once again there are not really any options. If you want to lower cooldown on your repair, you can use the premium repair. So this one isn't really worth it. It's 6 seconds. The torpedo warning is acquisition range of torpedoes is only really useful if you're sitting in a smoke and torpedoes are coming towards you and you need time to react. But if you're at full speed, you should easily evade all torps. So once again, useless. I don't even need to get into dogfighting. That's useless. This one gives you another speed boost and it gives you another smoke. So clearly, it's the far superior one. That's the one you want. Now we get to the fourth perk. In this case, there's actually a bit of flavor here. Now, Demolition Expert is nice. This one, unlike this perk, is a flat out additive. So it basically increases your fire chance by a flat out 3%. So that's very good. But the range is my preferable thing because, well, the longer range, the faster you can start firing. Not to mention, there are times when you're basically fighting an entire fleet and going close enough to be able to use this perk might be too dangerous. So in my opinion, this is the overall most useful perk that will constantly see use, whereas this one is situational and Last Stand is highly situational. Basically, it's a very good perk for both US and IGN DDs, Japanese DDs that is, but I do not think it's necessary on the Russian ones. I think they benefit more from the range. For the fifth perk, it's actually, again, it's going to be a bit of a question because there's a patch coming soon which will buff preventive maintenance from 34 to 50%. So actually, I'm not sure. If you'll be able to stealth fire, it might be worth getting Concealment Expert, but if you can't, then I think preventive maintenance will actually be the go-to perk for the Russian DDs in the next patch. Oh, and one last thing, if you want to respec your captain, don't do it yet. There's a new patch coming in like 1-2 days, and that will automatically reset all your captain points, so you'll be able to respec for free. So don't waste your doubloons, instead save them and do it later. Anyways, let's jump back to Right, let's jump back into the game. I've finally managed to make it all the way across the map. I've been speed boosting the entire way. I don't care if I'm detected, because I know I have to face 2 Soviet DDs. Put some shells into him, and Gnevny showed himself. The Ognavoy is outside of my arcs, but this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to show himself so I could offensive smoke and just basically hammer into him, because I'm in a very hard position because I have to face 2 Soviet DDs and all the other ships, and we're quite outnumbered because our other ships are basically going the long way around. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to bait him a bit now. I basically glided out of the smoke, and now I'm reversing back into the smoke. I'm hoping he took the bait, you see. He saw me glide out, so he instantly shot. Now I'm back detected again, but he'll have a 20-second debuff now. When you shoot, you get a 20-second debuff that increases your detection by roughly 4 kilometers if you're a DD. So that's 20 seconds that he will be entirely visible. I keep hoping for the Ognavoy to show himself, because I'd rather shoot the Ognavoy, because he's an easier target to hurt, because he has the vulnerable double turret setup. So if you manage to destroy one of the turrets, he's very much crippled. Suddenly his DPM drops by half. But no such thing happened. So I'm basically just gonna hammer into this Congo. Congo is fighting the New Mexico, but the Congo is a good spot to get some fires going, because we're still trailing. You can see we're 750 to 820. Basically, we've been trailing this entire game, regardless of what I've been doing. I've sunk 4 ships, but we're still trailing. So basically, I'm trying to squeeze out a win here before they gather enough points. Luckily, thanks to us winning the other side of the map, and basically I pinged one of the ships to go cap B, and he luckily did that. So we actually have a 3-to-1 point advantage. So we have a good chance of winning this game. Now the Ognavoy showed himself, as I was hoping. So I put another fire on the Congo, and I'm just switching back to this Ognavoy. Yeah, the fires gave me Confederate. But now I'm just hammering. I broke his engine, which is great, and I set him on fire. I'm pretty sure his repair is on cooldown from my earlier volley. So if I could just land 1 or 2 more hits, I think the fire will finish him off. I don't even care about him anymore. I'm switching to the Gnevny. This is the thing, you have to realize when it's... He died now to the fire, but you have to realize when it's not worth it to waste time anymore. He destroyed one of my turrets, this Gnevny. But I'm putting some good damage on him. Oh, but he got his smoke up. This is a problem, because he's using an offensive smoke against me now. I've lost vision of him, so the one thing I will do is I will sail away. There's no point even trying to stay here. I can't fight him if he's in the smoke. He has a huge advantage. So what I do is I just full speed away. I constantly, you see how I'm shifting my course all the time, making myself hard to hit for the DD. And I'm basically just raining down more fire on the Congo. Because he can sit in his offensive smoke all he wants. I'm good. I'm trying to secure our win. I even used a repair because he damaged one of my turrets. He didn't even break it, just damaged it, because I want to sink this guy as soon as possible, because that will automatically give us the win in the game. So in the end, managed to squeeze out the win in this game. Obviously nowhere near as many hits and nowhere near as much damage, but the XP, you can see it's still quite high. The damage is obviously nowhere near as high as in the other clip because, well, I fought mostly DDs and cruisers in this game, so obviously the damage is going to correlate. But you can see the XP was still almost 3000 base XP, which, because you get XP for the percentage of damage you do. So it was still quite a, well, you could almost, yeah, I think you could call this a carry, because the rest of our team was struggling quite hard. Anyway, that was my much more comprehensive Kiev follow-up, which hopefully have answered all the questions you people are asking. If they haven't, well, you can ask more in the comments. I don't think I'll make a third vid, but I'll try to just answer it. Anyway, that's me out.